Oh, hello, little cutie, with your little turning signal in the penis and your little grill. Hello. You're even cuter, though. You're even. Oh. G'day, guys. Matt Brand here. Yes, I'm back with the Suzuki Jimny, which is kind of surprisingly the most popular video on my entire channel. The last one I did had like 150,000 views, and it's really no surprise. I mean, this thing is awesome. So you might be asking yourself, Matt, why are you back with another Suzuki Jimny? Well, my friends, this one here is the Suzuki Jimny Lite, which means it's gone on a bit of a diet and lost a bit of tech and some other things, which I'll walk you around in today's video. This one here is also the 5-speed manual. The last one I reviewed was an automatic, and you want to know what a manual is like, right? Of course you do. So we're going to talk about that in today's fly-ridden review. As always, we're going to start by taking a look at the exterior of this thing, then we're going to move on to the interior. We're going to see how it drives, not only by launch controlling it, but also, of course, on the roads. We're going to take this thing off-roading too, because, I mean, that's what this is. This is a awesome off-roader. And then I'm going to end on, should you buy a Suzuki Jimny, or rather, should you order a Suzuki Jimny and wait 12 to 18 months to get yours? Such is the way with COVID, right? Let's get straight into it. Now, the first thing that's changed for the Suzuki Jimny Lite is its price. This thing is $1,500 cheaper than a regular Jimny at just under 27,000 Australian dollars before on-road costs, which is actually fairly reasonable. However, you do lose quite a few things. So as we're going through this video and I point out the things that are different, I want you to let me know down in the comment section below, is it worth it? But anyway, let's start with up front. So the first thing you lose are the LED projector lights. Instead, you get these halogen projectors, though they are still very, very good and very, very bright. You've also got your turning signals here, which I think look really cool. The grille is completely plastic. It looks kind of cheap, feels kind of cheap, but it doesn't really matter. And you've got these rectangles here, which harken back to the old Jimnys. Here you've got a halogen fog light and a giant plastic bumper, but yeah, I mean, I think it looks so cool from the front. Now, looking at the side, this is the first big change here. These 15-inch wheels here, they're the same size, but you don't get the alloys. Instead, you get these steel wheels, which actually isn't a bad thing. Steel wheels are more rigid, and generally speaking, they're better for off-roading, so I actually don't mind it. Although I'm sure it increases the unsprung mass, so it's worse around a corner. I haven't noticed that. I love how much spacing you've got between the tires and the body. Of course, you've got this black plastic here, but that's the same across all of them. And it's really cool because in here you can see all the suspension componentry, and you can see how this is a body on frame chassis, meaning that the body here sits on 2 steel beams, and it just makes this thing a lot more rigid when you're going off-roading. So I think that's pretty cool. Anyway, coming to the rest of the side, you get black scratchy plastic for your mirror housings. They are still electronically controlled, however, they don't fold in, which, I mean, I don't really care about. You've also got these scratchy black plastic door handles here. Again, not a huge deal. But yeah, I mean, it doesn't take very long to get to the other side of the Suzuki Jimny, but I love it. I love the squared off design of it. It looks like a baby G-Wagon. And I love some of its simple design elements. For example, you've got an exposed key port here, and the roof has guttering. I don't think I've seen this since the 1960s. Not that I was around then, but you get what I mean. Okay, now coming to the bum of this thing, and again, I think it looks absolutely incredible. I love the squared off design of it. You've got your spare wheel here, full size of course. You've got your Suzuki badge down there just for your pride and joy. You've got a black plastic big bumper there, but you've also got some of the most boring rear lights I think I've ever seen, but whatever, I'll give it a pass anyway. We'll come back to the boot in a second, but look at this. When you open it up, the whole back opens. Literally the whole back of this car is now gone. I think that is so cool. Ugh. And then if we sprint over here, you'll see the Jimny badge there, all spelt out proudly, and All Grip, which is the name of the off-road traction control system. And when we go off-roading, you'll see that in action. Overall, I really like the way that the Suzuki Jimny looks. I mean, shout out to the Suzuki designers. They have done a bang-up job of this car. At least I think. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section just below that like button. And if you are new around here, I would love it if you could subscribe so I can keep making cool car reviews like this. Let's check out the interior. Okay, let's move on to the interior now of the Jimny Lite, and we'll start with what you missed. So one of the things they've removed is the infotainment display. It was a 7-inch. It's a pretty good system. You had Android Auto, Apple CarPlay, Unfortunately, now you just get an old style radio. It does come with the addition of a CD player if you're that way inclined. It of course has Bluetooth too, and it's actually very functional and easy to use. And as a minor inconvenience, if I want to use navigation or whatever, I have a mount that I've put in the car to be able to use it. It's not a huge deal. You can still keep it charged with the USB port down there with a 12-volt socket, but it's, you know, it's not the greatest. But the worst thing about it is that you lose the reverse camera. So no, this thing doesn't have a reverse camera. And even though it's such a small car, it's quite easy to park. I just wish it had it. It would have made my life so much easier over my week having it. And that would probably be enough for me to pay the $1,500 just to have it. So what else do you lose? Well, you get a plastic steering wheel instead of the leather wrapped one. Again, not a huge issue, but it just doesn't feel quite as nice, to be honest. I've never liked plastic steering wheels, and I don't know, it's just what you hold the most and it just feels a bit bleh. And then the last major change is the air conditioning controls. It's not the digital you get, instead it's all analog. I don't care about that. In fact, I kind of like it. It suits the character of the car. It doesn't have an automatic function either, but I don't care either because look, I can turn it on pretty easily. So what about the rest of the interior? Well, you got scratchy plastics absolutely everywhere. Normally I would roast a car for having that, but considering its price point and also that it is an off-road vehicle and harder materials are just a bit easier to clean and don't scuff and scratch as much as softer plastics, I don't really care. You've got some cool touches, like for example, you've got a good grab handle here for your passenger as you're bombing it down a off-road course, and it's this softish hard plastic, so it's nicer to hold on to than other materials in here. You've got a storage area here, but if you put something there and you accelerate a bit too hard, it will fly into your passenger's face. The glove box is a decent size. You got a little storage area up here, one here, and a couple of cup holders. And then you've got some of the smallest door cards I think I've ever seen in my life, but you could literally get a few pieces of paper in there and that's about it. I keep grabbing onto this, so let's talk about it. This is the manual shifter and it's a really nice shifter. Even though it looks like it's ancient, it feels really super taut and it's very easy to change gears. It's one of the easiest manuals I have ever driven. So if this is your first manual, it's a pretty good first manual to have. And I love this. I don't know, I just love grabbing this material. Similar story with this lever here. It just feels really nice to press. Look over here. I love these switches here. They're nice and big, easy to press when you're off-road. And the gauge cluster, even though it's analog, just looks so damn cool. I couldn't care less. I love how it's got this orange effect to it with the red line in like this warning sign. I don't know, it's just really cool. In the center, you also get a little screen, go through a bunch of different information. Unfortunately though, it doesn't have like a speed readout, which is a shame. Here's a couple more things I don't like about the interior of the Jimny. The speakers are really, really average. And when I say average, they're poor to average. I really don't like them. And when you put them a bit too high, not only do they have a pretty awful bass, but the door cards can start to vibrate, which is never a good thing. And then the seats are just so basic. I said it in my last video, they're literally like 2 slabs of foam wrapped in some pretty average cloth. I mean, they've got like this 90s design pattern to them, which is okay, but they're not very adjustable and they don't provide that much support. So if I was going around Australia, I don't think this would be my first pick. Oh, and also the steering wheel has tilt, adjust, but no reach, although I haven't found that to be an issue, to be honest. Let's check out the back seat. Now, getting into the back is actually surprisingly easy, even though this thing only has 2 doors. So to do it, all we have to do is lift up this lever, this seat slides forward, and then it's a pretty easy clamber back here. Now, I'm 5'11", and even sitting behind myself, I have enough knee room. Toe room is pretty good, and headroom is very good thanks to the boxy design of this. In terms of amenities, you don't really get much back here. In fact, you get nothing. You got your shared cup holders there, and that's about it. You can, however, manually recline these seats, which is pretty nice, but that's about it. I don't think I'd want to be stuck back here on a long journey, but it's not too bad. Now, in terms of practicality, yeah, this thing ain't winning any awards, except for this awesome door. Can't get over it. I just love how the whole tailgate is literally the entire back of this car. Anyway, once we come in here, you can see, yeah, there isn't that much room in here, is there? Now, to be fair, that is when you have the rear seats up, and this car is only 3.6 meters long. It's tiny. It's literally almost a K car. I think if you take off the bumpers, it becomes a K car. So yeah, very small. And here is my backpack for scale. it like hardly fits. And this is a small backpack. However, it's not all bad. If you're just going away with your, for example, significant other, you can keep these seats down, and really these seats should be down most of the time, and then you get a lot of room back here. Yes, this is a 4-seater, but you're not really going to be going away with 4 people in this car. It just physically cannot happen. You don't have the space. And there is a slight issue, even though it has this cross-stitched pattern to it, very industrial-like. If you put anything in there and you don't secure it down, it's literally just gonna slide around. There's nothing to grip it. So there are aftermarket solutions for that. And I should mention, you also get some underfloor storage, but again, it's really not enough. Now, powering the mighty Suzuki Jimny is a less than mighty 1.5 litre 4-cylinder naturally aspirated petrol engine, putting out what some might consider a bit of an anemic 75 kilowatt of power and 130 Newton meters of torque. This thing is definitely not winning any drag races, although we'll test the 0 to 100 in just a second. Here's the thing though, these engines have proven to be really reliable. And not only that, this thing weighs 1.1 tons, so it doesn't take a lot to get moving. As I said, it's not going to break any speed records, but it does pretty well considering how little power it has, and for off-road uses, it's more than adequate. But how about on road? Well, let's launch this. Okay, so now we're gonna launch the Suzuki Jimny, specifically the manual. You see there is a difference in the automatic. I got about 15 seconds 0 to 100. So hopefully this is quicker, and I've heard it is, but what will it do? I've got my specialist timing key here, and we're just gonna launch it. Okay, foot on the brake, we're gonna drop the clutch. Oh God. We're only at 60 now. Oh my God, I don't know if we're gonna make it to 100. Okay, 0 to 100 in 14.75 seconds. Okay, it's actually not that much faster than the automatic. Maybe I take back what I say. This is a little bit anemic, a little bit. But you know what? It can be pretty sprightly. Okay, so here we are doing some light off-roading here at the farm. Now, the Suzuki Jimny is so amazing because of how capable it is off-road straight from the factory. Listen to these stats. It has an approach angle of 37 degrees, a ramp breakover angle of 28 degrees, and a departure angle of 49 degrees. That is entirely insane. Combine that with the fact that yes, this is a proper off-roader. It has a low range transfer case. In fact, let's do it now. So we have our low range transfer case. We can put it into 4 high, or we press down and push in, and it turns off all of our traction control systems, but now we have it in low range mode. And that actually enables us to be in the peak power and torque band even at low speeds. The other thing that really helps this be a true blue off-roader is that it is on that body on frame chassis. So yes, you have 2 steel beams that run along, and then the chassis goes on top. It helps make it rigid. Unfortunately, it does make it more heavy, and you'll see in the driving part that, oh my God, that's not the best. However, when you're off-road, it just does make a huge difference. Now, like any good off-roader, this also has hill descent control, so it should keep us at about 5 kilometers an hour going down a pretty steep hill here. So I will press hill descent control, or green light comes on, and then we should just be able to take our foot off the accelerator, and the traction control system actually brakes the wheels to make sure that we stay about 5 kilometers an hour. This is doing a pretty damn good job. Again, not an insane obstacle course for the Jimny, but the fact that it can just do so well regardless is extremely impressive. Now, there's one final test that I want to do, and that is to test these rigid axles even more. So we're gonna go on a pretty steep incline here, and I just wanna see how this goes, even when it's on a pretty extreme angle. This is about 30 degrees that we're heading up to. And I'll be honest with you, it's pretty scary, but oh, this thing is doing a pretty damn good job at not tipping over. As I said, this is pretty extreme for any car, and yeah, it just does it with absolute ease. It's not even trying. It's not even trying. A lot of cars have struggled going up here, a lot. It's just insane to me how good this thing is. It's just insane. The thing is so damn capable. But unfortunately, that does mean it's not the greatest on road. So let's go talk about that. Okay, so here we are driving the Suzuki Jimny Lite. We're starting off on a gravel road, and a couple of things here. It doesn't have much grip with these tires, and I've had a look online, and a lot of people seem to have this issue on gravel roads where the back end just wants to fishtail out a lot, but that apparently can be fixed by getting some better tires on here. So that's my first observation. Here's my next observation. I wish I had a backup camera. No, but in all seriousness, let's give this thing some sauce. Ooh, 60 kilometers an hour. 80 kilometers an hour. Yeah, it's amazing. 75 kilowatt isn't that much power. Now, the Suzuki Jimny was never about how much power it could put out, and it's certainly no better over time. This thing is, by modern standards, slow. As I said, it doesn't feel anemic. It's not struggling for breath, but it's certainly not the greatest out there. And you definitely have to downshift sometimes to get up a hill. One of the issues that the Jimny has is its design. You see, it weighs 1.1 tons and is literally shaped like a brick. And so when it's a little bit windy outside, God, does this thing get pushed around, and you're constantly making these minor little adjustments, which is a bit annoying. And really that makes this thing not the greatest daily driver, especially if you're doing a lot of highway kilometers. There's definitely better options out there, but I'm not upset by that, because for its price and for its off-road credentials, you kind of expect it. Now, as we give this thing some sauce, we could talk about the other issue it kind of has. I don't know if I'd call it an issue, but it is how it handles. Oh God, again, up this hill, we've really got to downshift. Oh. There is a lot of body roll. The steering is extremely light, but again, I don't really care. Oh my God. Because it's expected, right? And to be honest, it gives this car quite a bit of character. This thing is not the best car for the roads. It's just not. But again, I don't care. In fact, I couldn't care less. I have a lot of fun driving this. To summarize, driving is not its strong point, but it's not horrible at it, and you can very easily forgive some of its shortcomings. Okay, so what are my final thoughts on the Suzuki Jimny Lite, and should you buy one over a standard Jimny? Well, to be honest, the $1,500 that you save in buying a Jimny Lite, you kind of lose a bit too much, in my opinion. I can deal with the exterior. I don't care that you lose the LED projectors. You've still got great halogens. I don't care that you got black scratchy plastic for the mirrors or the door handles. And actually, I quite like these 15-inch steel wheels. Really, it's once you go inside and you lose that infotainment display, not the end of the world, but you lose that backup camera. I think you might as well just spend the $1,500 and get a more complete package, and in some cases, a better looking package. However, if it means that it's a much quicker wait to get one of these, it's really not the end of the world. I really like it. For its price, the Suzuki Jimny Lite is an amazing vehicle if you can get it at that price. But if you can, 100% go for it. They're awesome. And I kind of want one. I know I say that about a lot of cars, but it's especially the Jimny. This thing I do not want to give back. But let me know what you guys think of the Suzuki Jimny Lite down in the comment section just below that like button. If you haven't done so already, I would love it if you could subscribe. It really helps the channel out, and you get to see cool car reviews like this. It's a win-win, buddy boy. Anyway, click over there if you want to watch one of my other reviews. I highly recommend it. And as always, I will see you next week.